A month into the trial, a teammate accidentally dropped a shared table while poking around. The root cause, ACCOUNTADMIN, was used for everyday work, giving unrestricted access to everything. A month into a Snowflake trial, a team couldn't tell which queries were real analysis versus scratch experiments, until a teammate accidentally dropped a shared table. The root cause, they were all using ACCOUNTADMIN as their daily role. Before we unpack that incident, let's quickly cover what Snowflake is. In this tutorial, you'll go from zero to running your first queries in minutes. We'll cover account setup, navigating Snowsight, creating virtual warehouses, loading data, and writing SQL. By the end, you'll have a solid foundation to build your own data pipelines. Snowflake is a cloud-native data platform that separates storage and compute, giving you independent scaling and pay-per-use pricing. You reach the Snowflake web UI from a browser, run SQL on a virtual warehouse, and it reads from cloud storage underneath. To get started, navigate to sign up, Snowflake.com, enter your email, and fill out the sign-up form for a free 30-day trial. You'll then choose a cloud provider and region. After your account is created and verified, you'll receive a URL like app.snowflake.com. That's your Snowsight interface. Everything is pre-configured with a default warehouse, database, and role ready to go. Let's run our first SQL commands. We'll check our current role and warehouse, set the warehouse, and explore the sample data that comes with your account. Snowsight is the modern web interface. The left sidebar gives you home, data, and worksheets, while the top bar shows your current role. Create worksheets for SQL queries, then use them to write and save queries, and browse data via the Data tab to explore schemas and tables, with query results appearing instantly in the worksheet. Let's explore the TPCH SF1 schema. We'll list tables, describe the customer table, and preview its data. This is a great way to get familiar with the sample data. First, a query is submitted. Then a virtual warehouse, a cluster of compute resources, executes it. You can create multiple warehouses of different sizes and set them to auto-suspend after an activity. This decouples compute from storage, so you only pay when queries run. Here's how to create a warehouse. We'll set it to XSmall with auto-suspend after 5 minutes. You can resize or drop it as needed. Remember to always use a warehouse before querying. Within your Snowflake account, databases are logical containers for schemas, which hold tables, views, and other objects. Snowflake supports zero-copy cloning for creating development environments instantly, and time travel to recover dropped objects. Let's create our own database and schema for an e-commerce example. We'll create a customer's table, insert some sample data, and query it. This is the foundation for our analytics. Snowflake loads data from files via stages. A stage is a location where data files are stored, either internal or external, holding file formats like CSV, JSON, and Parquet. You use copy into to load data into a table. For continuous ingestion, use Snowpipe. Here's the full workflow. Create a file format for CSV, create a stage, upload a file via Snowsight or SnowSQL, create the target table, and load data with copy into. The ON error option lets you continue on errors. Now that we've data, let's run analytical queries. Each query runs on a warehouse, which supplies the compute. Snowflake supports standard SQL with analytics extensions, joins, aggregations, and window functions, plus clustering keys and query profiles to tune it. Let's find total sales per customer and rank them using a window function. Snowflake SQL is powerful and familiar. Snowflake uses role-based access control. Privileges on objects are granted to a role and roles to users. ACCOUNTADMIN has full access, so best practice is custom roles with least privilege, an analyst role that can only select from specific schemas. Here's how to create a custom role, grant it usage and select privileges, and assign it to a user. This follows the principle of least privilege. Start with query details, then warehouse views like query history and warehouse metering, then account usage views for aggregated monitoring. Resource monitors cap credit consumption and send alerts. These queries use current timestamp and DAT/ADD to look at the last day or week of activity. Then create a resource monitor that notifies at 80% and suspends at 100% of the daily quota. Here's how it played out. The new user assumed ACCOUNTADMIN was just the normal role, but it has unrestricted privileges. Every scratch query could touch or drop production objects with no isolation. The fix, log in as analyst, run an exploratory query to create a dedicated role and warehouse, then a safe query granting only needed privileges, reserving ACCOUNTADMIN for admin tasks. The key, create role analyst. Never use ACCOUNTADMIN as your daily driver role. As current role reveals, it's the default. Create a scoped role on day 1 to avoid accidental damage. Always set a warehouse with use warehouse before querying. Otherwise, you'll get an error. Without Auto-Suspend, your warehouse runs continuously, incurring costs even when idle. Always set Auto-Suspend to a reasonable value like 300 seconds. Start diagnosis by checking your current user, account, and warehouse. Use Show Warehouses to verify warehouses exist and show grants to audit privileges. Time for common interview questions about Snowflake. These cover the core concepts you've learned. Let's walk through frequently asked questions about Snowflake setup and usage, including the 30-day free trial limit. To recap, Snowflake separates storage and compute. Use Snowsight for your workspace, configure Auto-Suspend and resource monitors to control costs, and always use role-based access control with least privilege. Thanks for watching. The full article and code examples are covered in detail at TheCodeForge.io.